Morning, guys. Mark Ferrasci, Protect Dog Training in Benzo. So yesterday we found out that this guy has a shadow chaser and chasing after glints of light, right? Light chasing or shadow chasing is what they call it. I looked real heavy for trying to find a scientific name for it, and all I found is a familiar name, meaning it's us, dog trainers, that come up and coin a phrase. So that is what it is. It's shadow chasing or light chasing. Now, let's talk about the dog himself and then what his environment was at home. He was at home with family, with mom that's raising the kids and having a dog. So their perspective is what everything's about, because the public's perspective of what they expect in dog training services, what they think they're going to get, is a big part. Their education is what matters. Now, I started talking about the light chasing in this, and the owner's wife came on and she says he knows how to sit, and she's again humanizing the animal, so she thinks of this as her child, which is fine. We love our animals, don't get me wrong, but I treat the dog as a dog, right? I don't treat the dog as a human child, because it's dog psychology, right? Let's talk about the psychological aspects of things. This dog has basically been outside with a lot of time, being in a yard, and with nothing to do, nothing that's been directed into drives. Normally, if you ever see me working, I work with a lot of balls, I work with a lot of things, and I'm working this dog 2-3 times a day. I mean, not doing videos every time, but yep, this dog's getting work 2-3 times a day. And we built our relationship. Remember what my sayings are: always too fast, never too slow. So right away, when I'm evaluating the dog, is over that first 2-3 days period where I take my time. Remember my philosophy: always too fast, never too slow. So I found that he's a shadow chaser, which is a neurotic behavior. And she came back and basically, I can understand where her head's at as a human. This is her child, and she loves the dog. And so right away, she's justifying, I thought he was just having fun. He's out in the backyard having fun. Well, it becomes a neurotic behavior. I can't walk down the street and expect the dog to not see a thing of light, and he was doing it to me yesterday, right? So what do I want out of the dog? I want the dog to have his drives in the right place, and his mental capacities, where he's at mentally dealing with the world, to be in the right place. And when you see that type of behavior, nip it right away. Don't let it get started, because if it gets started, you end up having a big problem, and people aren't aware of it. And this is just, it's not their fault. It's lack of knowledge and lack of understanding of the dog. Okay. So now, again, back to the perspective of the human, right? What do they expect? Well, with our videos online, all the professional trainers showing off and doing all this fancy stuff, and the dog spinning and backwards and all the stuff that we do in the sports, that ends up getting a misplaced perception from the public. I call it robot syndrome. The general public thinks when they go to a dog trainer, they're going to go to a dog trainer, it's going to be heel, sit down, stay, and they're going to get a robot back, and they don't have to do anything. So far from the truth, okay? Bottom line is, the person has to get off the couch and put that time into learning and growing, and that's what I'm here as a professional trainer, to educate, to teach, to try to get the people to understand what they do in their environment matters and how they treat it. Because in the end, the dog lives with them. He doesn't live with me. It's their relationship with this dog and them learning and growing. So I'm going to be trying real hard to get the customer off, but you have lifestyle, okay? These folks have a comfort in regards to their lifestyle, right? And that lifestyle, a lot of times people don't want to break that lifestyle. And when they do, it becomes work and they don't want to do it. So, I get it all the time with more affluent customers. They think they're going to pay me money, and the dog's going to come back a robot, and they don't have to do anything because they're very busy. Most people that have some money have worked hard for that. They have a trade or something they're into, whatever, a doctor, a dentist. I mean, you get all kinds of customers that come at you, and some are more affluent, and the more affluent is even all the more this way, right? Where their perceptions, how they conceive what dog training is, that's where dog trainers can take advantage of people, because the customer has no clue. So the young dog trainer goes out, and he might have 1 or 2 dogs under his belt, goes out and is in a club, and the dog's working like a top, and they see this demo, and the dog trainer's only out to get a sale. So they give the customer the sale, and then as time goes along, the customer realizes, uh-oh, I've got to get off the couch. I've got to learn. I've got to grow. I've got to put energy into it. So in other words, my service is based on me being able to guide you, help you, and get you into a place where you can get the same thing that I get out of my animals, right? But I get what I get out of my animals, one, because of knowledge. Nope. Good. Yep. Good. We're good. There you go. And secondly, nope. He's got a hot dog, and I'm not going to let him grab it because then he's a very smart, intelligent dog. You give him one chance to do that, and pretty soon he's on the ground. So I can say no now and do this. All right, nope, come on. Hey, you. So again, it's all about the public's conception. What do they perceive that they're going to get out of the service? And as they go along, they start to, and every dog trainer is different. They emphasize, they highlight different things within their relationship with their customers, right? So this customer is a pet customer that I'm going to try to get them to understand what they've got to do. Good boy, good. Here, nope, come here. Good boy, good. There you go, good, good. First time the pinch is going on. Good boy, good. Nope, you stay. Good boy, good. There you go. Good boy, good. I'm going to double him up, meaning I've got him on the dominant dog collar that I've had, which is like a choke chain, but it's made out of parachute tubing. Real strong, real hardy, and it's thin, so when I have to choke the dog out, if I have to take the wind away from him, I put it up here high and it gets a gag reflex. The dog can't breathe, the brain goes to a different place, so it's conducive for aggression problems, right? Especially with a lot of these strong Mastiffs and Connies and Pit Bull breeds, that if you hit them with pain from the pinch collar, they're going to end up flooding that, and they're going to get worse, not better, right? We want the dog's mental attitude to go to a place, but we can't have the dog chewing us up. We've got to get a negative. We've got to stop it, right? So back to our shadow chasing in this. He keeps wanting this hot dog, and I won't let him have it because we got to have a rule right away, right? We're already building our relationship slow but sure. I was able to put the pinch collar on now, first time it's been on, and we'll slowly start working on some things. If his mental attitude goes to the chasing of shadows, I'm going to nip him every time he puts his nose to the ground and then try to redirect him into the positive, which is my food, and keep his head up and out of the ground. So we're talking about the shadow chasing and that now, and let's talk about that a little while. And I've already kind of highlighted about perspective is everything. How you perceive and what you think you're going to get out of the service is what really matters. And then when you don't understand it, and then you start to figure it out as time goes along within the service. In other words, I'll have him a month, and I'm sending these videos to the customers and posting them, and they're seeing their dog get worked. Again, it's all about dealing with the person's their perceptions right away. You notice what happened. She ended up right away kind of being defensive and saying, oh, he knows how to sit. And I thought that was fun. And so she doesn't think of it and have the perspective that I do, that this is a neuroses. It's a neurotic behavior that they've allowed to get established. And now we have to try to overcome it and do what you call counter conditioning in regards to taking this behavior away. But because it got imprinted when the dog was so young, and you're dealing with a lot of different things, smell of the dirt, energy levels with a high drive dog like a Malinois, all this, and they haven't taken that and basically directed it in a direction that's conducive to what I want out of the animal. Remember, dogs have been bred for hundreds of years, thousands of years, to fulfill a purpose. And these Malinois and the dogs that are coming over from Europe that we're getting, this genetic stock that we're getting, has been bred for like 200 years to do nothing but bite. Right? They're police dogs. They're a working dog. And that being the case, they have all this energy and all these drives. And this dog didn't get all this formed and shaped as a puppy. I think of it like clay. I am molding and shaping that clay from a young dog, and I'm doing all these things to take it in the direction that I want to, whether that's sport or what I do is his personal protection and more of a companion dog, but teach him how to bite and to do the job, give him a trigger word so he comes from 0 to 150 and nothing flat. I can say one word to Buddy or to Joker, and the dog will light up and start doing his job, right? That's deterrent factor. Yep. So that's what I want out of the criteria that I set with 30, close to 40 years doing what I've done. Remember, I started when I was 12, and I'm 62, 63, coming on 63 now, right? It's a lot of years doing what I do, and I'm a little different than most trainers. I've been in a very heavily saturated environments. Kennels with 150 dogs. When I hung with Cesar for those couple of years, Cesar couldn't understand why I wanted to stay around. It's because I was observing the pack, and I was learning so much. And we had our little friction, and that was natural between two humans, but I wasn't into that. I was watching the pack. I was watching how he interacted with those dogs, right? It wasn't about heel, sit down, stay. He was balancing the pack within a pack hierarchy, and he's good at it, right? He's more of what I call holistic training. You don't see him doing heel, sit down, stay. He's always relating things to energy and all that, which is more of a holistic type of a form, right? Good, good. Nope, come on. Nope. Good boy, good. Come on, come on. You're a toughie. Good, good. Yes, good boy, good. There you go, good boy, good. Trying to put the food down below the table, so he wants to just take a step into the down position. I don't want to force him because I don't want to hurt our relationship. Very intelligent animal. He's watching me like a hawk, and this is building and growing in our relationship. When I start asking him to do something and I might put a little pressure on him, he might come back on me. So I've got to be careful. And he doesn't understand what's going on, and he doesn't have all that. Good, good. Got the clicker out now. I'm trying to get him to take one step to the down position. He's down there, and I'm doing exactly what I talked about, not letting him have it, not letting him have it. And he wants it. And what you're going to do is, nope, come on, come on, nope. Yep, good boy. He doesn't want it down. And I don't want to force him, and I don't want to have anything that hurts our relationship, and I have to deal with him going back on me, and then I got to hang him up and correct him. And see, every time he goes to the ground, in fact, I might do that as a way of stopping him to go to the ground, is actually kind of toss a piece of food out there that he wants and then start nipping him upwards and not letting him put his nose to the ground. That'll be an association that when he starts doing the light chasing, I can nip it from there. So let's talk about that. What are we dealing with? We're dealing with a dog that gets, his brain goes from one place to another in a very fast motion. All of a sudden, his whole drive state is chasing the shadows, right? His brain has gone to a different place. So what we're going to do is we're going to have to interrupt that. Every time he does it, it's counter conditioned. Every time he goes to the ground, I'm going to have to nip him upwards. We might even go ahead and put a stem collar on him where I can do low and a kind of a startle type thing. I want to break that concentration. So the reason I started talking about this is because I want you to go back to thinking about Cesar Millan and his little ch sound, right? Whether he admits it or not, that sound came from me. And it was me hanging around Cesar, and we had a lot of conversations about it. And then he ended up having his biographers and all the people that are into Hollywood, writing books and everything. Cesar didn't write the book. Cesar had somebody else write the book, and he worked with him towards producing that book, right? Cesar didn't have enough English and skills and the literary skills to be able to do that by himself, which is no harm, no foul. We're all human. Same thing would happen with me. My education's not that good. I'd have to have the same kind of thing. I get somebody that's a biographer, that's a writer, that helps me how to say things and do things in the right way, right? As far as that type of a level that Cesar's reached with writing books and doing all that. But he's got a biography that he talks about his mom giving him that sound. And that's bullshit, but that's all right. I don't, it's just something that's always a remembrance, because we had a lot of conversations about this. Now, what is that ch sound? Well, when it really gets down to it, it's a marker. It's a negative marker, but it's also an interrupter. The brain is flowing in a certain way, and when you say ch, you're taking the dog's brain from one spot to another because it startles the dog's brain. And they go, whoop, and then right away you redirect it wherever you want it to go and get the dog out of that other mental state of mind, right? So again, where's this in relation to Benzo? Where's that at? The dog is going into this behavior, and his mind is gone. Think of it like an engine with a transmission. And every time you shift, you take it to another place. So we're doing the same thing. We're shifting gears, and we're doing an interrupter, which is that sound of and or any kind of conditioning where I start popping him out of that ground. Every time he starts doing it, I'll start, but I've got to get some basic behaviors going. I got to get him to understand to heel and stay at my side, and then look for the behavior to happen again. And he's not doing it now, probably because he's not as nervous and upset. He's starting to get in a pattern routine. But he will. I mean, there'll be a shadow or something. All of a sudden, his brain will slip to that based on his longevity and his ability to handle what's going on with him, right? And all of a sudden, it goes to because that's a comfort spot, right? That's something he's been doing for so long, and the behavior set in where that's his avoidance. That's his way of kind of blocking out the world and doing this. He doesn't have to pay attention to anything because, again, his parents probably didn't have a clue, right? As far as when that behavior started. And then it gets ingrained, especially because the customer's perceptions are different than what mine are. Mine are, as I know it's not something I want to let get going because it takes my dog's brain to something else that's going to be a pain in the ass. If I go out in public and he's stressed out, he might start doing that as a way of dealing with not wanting to deal with the outside world. That stressor is going to cause him to go right into that negative behavior. That's kind of what he showed yesterday, right? Notice he's doing better today than he was yesterday. He was yanking me all over the place, getting into that shadow chase, right? So I want to make sure that that brain doesn't go to that at all, and I want to interrupt it, right? So I will interrupt it with and I might give and I give a pop, right? So That's what the sound is. That's what it is. It's an interrupter. It becomes a negative marker. If you use it enough, the dog understands it, but you're breaking the dog's train of thought, taking them to a different area when you have behaviors that are coming at you, and all of a sudden you need to break that behavior. Well, that's why he taps on the back of the back, right, on the haunches, and then it surprises the dog. It takes the dog brain to another place. It's like shifting gears, right? It's an interrupter. It's a negative marker. As you keep using it, you keep working with an animal, and that animal is going to end up having the ability to be conditioned because of it, right? It's a positive thing. A lot of the cases that Cesar's dealing with are people that have ingrained behaviors, going underneath the couch or not wanting to be fearful going up the stairs. And he's using flooding techniques for that. You just take the dog and kind of drag him up the stairs, and then everybody gets mad because they see this poor dog. Well, reality and truth, it's done and it's over with within a day, and that dog's already past it, and now his fear is gone, right? That's called flooding, okay? Cesar learned that from me. Right? A lot of the techniques that Cesar uses, he got from me, but he also is Cesar. I mean, he loves the pack interplay, using the pack to balance the dog. All that's valid and it's good stuff. It's Cesar. It's who he is, okay? He's always been who he was. He was always into that because he was a dog walker, and he was into taking a lot of dogs, and then that became how he tailored his business. He's not a person that's going to teach behaviors of heel, sit down, stay. You don't see him out on the field working hard like Oscar Mora to get those titles and to do that for his clients. I mean, that's what Cesar's got, is a bunch of kids that are very interested in learning and growing, and then that village is built. I envy Oscar. He's got a hell of a thing going because he's got plenty of people, good boy, good, to work with, right? Good. All right, so that's where that sound came from. And Cesar decided, because he used it so much, there was a good marketing, and he put it in there and said his mom taught him that. All right, the argument's not really worth it, to be honest with you. Cesar's been using it, putting it in his show, and highlighting that for so long, I'll call it his. No big deal. But I know where it came from. I was there 30 years ago, right? Lived on his place on 163rd for almost 2 years. Yep. And then he did a little video actually mentioning my name. Good boy, good. And then he gave a story that was totally ass backwards. Oh, yeah, he was at a show, one of my shows. Yeah, the Hollywood, right? Bullshit. I met him when he first met Illusion. He was just getting married. He didn't have a green card. He ended up having a baby, and they ended up getting married. Andre was where my timestamp's at. I was around him when Andre was born and in diapers. That was my time period around Cesar, right? So I know that time. I never met his other son, and Andre doesn't remember me. But I was there almost, close to 2 years. Yep. Good. Good. And I'll never have anything negative about Cesar as far as who he is. We just have a difference in personality, and we had a blowout in our relationship over 30 years ago. I went one way and he went the other, and he'll never give me any credit. Talks about the ladies that helped him out doing the grooming. When I first met Cesar, and I had to be reminded of this. I've got a good friend of mine that was around that too, around that time period. That's where I got Bruno. This guy's been doing bomb dogs, and he's got a doggy daycare with his wife. He's been doing dogs down in the city for close to 30 years. He's got a very well-established clientele list. He's very good people, and he was around that time period with Cesar. So he knows Cesar. He knows the whole storyline, and he had to be the one that reminded me of this. I met Cesar in the back of a kennel for California Canine. Howie had it, and he had a partnership that kind of broke up. That was working. I forgot what city it was in. This kennel was 150 runs. And when I went back there, Cesar was back there scooping shit and bathing dogs, which was where he was at that time. So then I kind of befriended Cesar, and I started taking him everywhere. And my strong personality, I was kind of the leading force in his learning and growth. We did a lot of table work back then, a lot of bite work. Before Hollywood found him with Jada Pinkett and Will Smith, and they got him the appointment with National Geographic. And because of him, National Geographic was about ready to go under. And they needed something that would spark the network and take them someplace, and Cesar was their answer. So they put a whole team together, writers and all that stuff, to do that show. It's not just Cesar, right? Without that Hollywood aspect of things, Cesar would be nobody, right? He'd be just like me. I don't begrudge it. It is what it is. Good boy, good. He got lucky. He was at the right place at the right time. And it took him somewhere. It's all great. But a lot of what he does is kind of my influence on him, right? at the time. Things like he always wanted to go to Hollywood. He always wanted to meet Oprah, and he was always trying to go after this. There was a lookalike, Michael Jackson lookalike. I don't remember his name. Maybe Cesar remembers it. But we would go over to the guy's house all the time. But again, because this guy was doing a service for Michael Jackson, and Michael Jackson would use this lookalike that went out and had all kinds of surgery and everything else to make himself look like Michael Jackson. And good. Yep. And we would go over to that guy's house. But again, he would do all these things to kind of get right on the edges of Hollywood. You know, and that was what Cesar really wanted. And then it took him somewhere. We would go up in the Hollywood Hills, up into the beaches where all the fancy houses are at, down in LA off the coast right there, Brentwood, all these areas that anywhere there was Hollywood, anywhere there was money. Now, I didn't know it at the time. I just thought he was finding places to go work the dogs. We'd take 20, 30, 20, 24 dogs, I think, in his little Astro van, all packed in the back. And we'd open the slider door, and they'd all come piling out. And he'd put his little slip leads on the dog, and we'd head out up into the Sierra Madres. I showed him where that trail was at. We went down, and we'd go up there a lot. And we'd go, it'd take about an hour and a half, 2 hours to get down and back up. So it was a day trip. And we'd take all the dogs, and this is what he wanted, was attention. And that attention was always directed towards where he was going, Hollywood Hills, because all those people have a lot of money, and boom, that attention would get him, and that's how he met Will Smith and Jada Pinkett. He met Jada, and that started the whole adventure with his working with some of these Hollywood types, the underbelly of Hollywood. Redman, all the rappers, all that kind of stuff. That was his clientele base. Good. Good. Now, I like the fact he's not sliding to the other. He's more relaxed today, huh? Yeah, we're gonna go put him back. Now he's starting to show me some things, and I'll find out. When he starts getting bored, he starts getting little stressors, he'll go back to this. And I've got to have to start working on counter conditioning it, right? So to the owner of Benzo, realize this is a neurotic behavior that needs to get over counter conditioned. We need to solve this. If I can go out and do anything that we need to, we don't know what this dog's going to throw us. I finally got the pinch collar on him. That's good. Good boy. It's a little bit different, huh? It's nice and tight right where I want it. He's not used to it, so I don't want to really be too heavy on him with it yet. Yep. And we'll work him through it. So that's a little bit of yak session in regards to Cesar and the Chhh command. That's what we're going to do. We're going to interrupt the dog's brain when he goes back to the ground, and we're going to start counter conditioning it. Nope. Good. There you go. Good boy. There you go. Good boy. And then I'm going to start getting him high on the ball. And I don't want to bring it out right now, but I will today, and I'll maybe do a video on it. We'll get him high on the ball and give him another way to go with these drive states that he goes to. He's got all kinds of energy. He's a Malinois. And we need to take it somewhere that we want it to go. We want it to work for us and not be a behavior that's a neurotic behavior that causes a problem. I couldn't go out in public, and when this dog's a little stressed, he's going to start doing this, right? Because his brain is going to go to that place. We got to interrupt the brain and take it in a different direction. Good boy. Good. That's my boy. That's good. That's good. Yeah, good boy. First time he's had a pinch on, so when I praise him, he's feeling that. He doesn't like it. Good. Good. Now I've got to try to get it off. I got it on. He was good. Can I get it off? All right, I want to put him in the kennel. I think I'm going to leave it on for the golden rule with a pinch collar is it should be up high and tight near the ears, and it should be on the dog for no more than 4 hours. Why? Because here's the thing. This is what happens online with this bullshit coming from the purely positive crowd. They poo-poo it, and then you'll see a picture go up, and the dog's neck has got holes in it, and they blame the pinch collar and the operation of the pinch collar. Reality and truth, what happens is people leave them on for too long, and it's like a bed sore because we want it tight, and that creates an ability to create a bed sore if it's left on too long. So the golden rule is 4 hours max, take it off, okay? So that you don't have that happen, and there's not holes that get in the dog's neck because of a bed. So these people leave it on too long, and then they go, oh my God, it's the pinch collar. No, it's your operation of that tool. So again, remember what I always say, the tool is only as good as the operator. It's only as good as the person using that tool. That's why I get so mad when all this negativity comes in towards stem collars and pinch collars and all that. It's the asshole that's using it that matters, right? And if they use it abusively, then that's going to cause a problem, right? In our society, people see somebody out there just frying the hell out of a dog. That's not what you want to put out to the public and put out in your energy to the world. where they start thinking that this is the way. That's bullshit, right? And again, the tool is only as good as the person using it, right? These tools are designed to be able to have a loose leash all the time, and then when I want to, I can give a tap. And then if I need to, so I have control of the level of correction that I put on the dog. I don't have to be abusive. I don't have to yank his head off, right? Especially in conditioning matters, right? But if I get a dog like Joker or Buddy that's totally well-versed and knows what he's going to do, I might bring my correction level up to a level that says bullshit, right? Why? Because the dog's already been trained. He knows what he's supposed to be, and he's wanting to get away with it. And you need to bring your correction level up to make him realize that was the wrong thing to do. You made a wrong choice. We always hear that in dog training all the time, that the dog made a bad choice. You're teaching him and you're channeling them to start learning to make the right choices, right? Good. Yep. You done? Are we done? Yeah, we are. We're done. Yeah. Good boy. Good. There you go. Good boy. Good. Good boy. Now I'm going to take it off here instead of being over by the kennel, because all the dogs barking and the excitement will take his brain to a different place. I'm doubled up. I'm going to go to this, and then I'm going to put it in a position that if I need to put him up in the air and basically take the wind away, is what we call it, I can. Because again, I got it on him, but what is his attitude going to be when I do this? Which is, there we go, good. That's a good boy, good, there you go. Good boy, good, there you go, good. He's still learning my voice, my praise tones, my positive, my negative. It's all about the tone of voice that I'm giving him. Go boy, good. There you go. Good boy. That's a good boy. That's good. That's Benzo. That's Benzo. Good. And whether you realize it or not, I have apprehension. A little bit of a fear state in me because he went off on me. I've had to deal with it. I don't know where the dog's going to go when I'm starting to build my relationship with him. So I'm very apprehensive that he's going to go off on me. So I always want to put myself in a position that if he does go off on me, I'm in control. I end up winning, and the dog ends up having a negative that teaches him he doesn't want to go there, right? And he's not giving it to me, so that's good. And you notice we're also in a neutral lab. There's nothing going on here. It's the same place, same pattern sets. We might keep him because he's got this little neurotic behaviors, and where his head's at building relationship with me, it's going to take a little longer because he doesn't trust. It's the first time he's ever been away from his family, and they have nothing built into the dog that we need to go through. We need to do the muzzle, the pinch collar goes on. We'll start making a very positive thing with a pinch collar because I'll put it on him in the kennel when we're coming out. And that'll be, oh, I get to go somewhere when that pinch collar gets put on me, right? So we'll build some of this association. Good, there you go. Good boy, good, there you go. And then right away, I don't have any hot dogs anymore, so we're out of those. But we're going to come back a little later. I'm going to work him again, and we'll start getting the ball. And I'm going to take his brain, get him high on the ball, so his brain doesn't go to the light chasing. And every time it goes, it'll either be hot dogs up top, away from the ground, nipping him when he puts his nose to the ground, and then trying to get him into the balls so we can get him redirected into something else that gives him what he needs to exert his energies, right? And his drive state, which will be into the ball. We'll get him high on that ball, and we'll take him away from this. But this is going to be something that when he goes back home, he's in that familiar area, how his owners treat him, he's going to go right back. He's going to slide right back. So let's talk about that real quick before we go. Didn't want to get too crazy on this one, but dogs and behavior, right, that have a neurotic behavior like this. It's like a scratch in the record. You remember the old vinyl records? Good boy, good. The old vinyl records, good boy, good, there you go. Good boy, you like that table, huh? You like that table, huh? The old vinyl records, if you got a scratch in it, you used to have a polish kit, and you got a scratch in the record, the needle would follow the tracks that are on the vinyl record. And if you got a scratch in it, that needle would want to fall back into that. Nope, there he goes. See, right when I start, good, there you go, good boy, good, there you go, good boy. Redirect him, take him to another spot, right? So I've got to counter condition this and keep doing it. So back to behavior. When you have the dog, nope, having a behavior that's already ingrained, the scratch is already there, your job is to counter condition and polish that scratch out the best you can. But the tendency of the way behavior works is think of it like the needle on the tracking the record, and the scratch is there, and that needle wants to fall back into that groove. Our job is to polish that out, counter condition it the best we can to get it so that needle doesn't want to fall in there. And if you're lucky, it's not that bad a scratch, and it won't have a tendency to want to fall back into there. If it's too bad of a scratch, the needle's always going to want to track back to that. Well, that's behavior. It always wants to track back right to what it already remembered. The groove is already there, and it wants to go right back to that. right? So our job, I'll counter condition here. I'll get the dog working with me in that regards. We'll break that pattern with me. Now we got to let him go back home, and right away he's going to smell the same smells. He's going to have the same environmental type of things that already established this behavior to go. In other words, that scratch, and he's going to want to return to that right away. So the only thing that's going to work is that the owners work with me and we get them to start doing the same thing and not allow him to go to that place and keep him away from it so that that behavior gets counter conditioned and now another behavior takes over. That's why we're going to be using the balls and getting him into that. We're going to be doing everything we can to interrupt. We talked about the interrupter, and then we're going to be doing everything we can to get him high on the balls to take his head to a different place so that the needle doesn't want to go back to that same behavior flow, right? So that's what we're going to do with him. We'll find out how. I see you off. No. Off. I don't want you on me. No. Good. Too precocious. I don't want him doing that because there's a dominance that comes from it, right? And if you let him do that, he's dominating you in regards to that. Pretty soon you might have aggression or all kinds of things. I'm trying to take his brain into one of a proper mental attitude in work. And I want to take those drives and I want to take the dog, who he is, and get it to flow and mold and shape it the way that I want the dog to go, right? And get the energy out of the dog to take it to what I need the dog to do for me, because I'm a trainer and this is what we do, right? Otherwise, to me, in my perspective, nope, good. It's a waste, right? You're pissing your money away and what a waste of a dog. That's what I hate about some of the stuff going on with the Malinois right now. There's so many of them that people get them and they have no clue. They've got them in their backyard and they let the dog get turned to this, right? What a waste of a beautiful dog that has so much more potential. If you would have took it and when he was a baby, molded, shaped, and formed it, and then you would have had a hell of a dog. Not that he's not going to be. We're going to get him working. We'll find out what happens. You just don't know. You'll take it the direction, and he may turn out to be a stellar dog. He may be a badass mother blank, right? When we get him done. He's still young, right? We've got a lot of work to do, though. That's why when I talk to people about pricing and things like that, it's a lot about, good boy, good, what I've got to do. And then he comes in and people have that perspective of what they expect. They may not get it because I've got to work so hard getting the dog in a muzzle, teaching him to go in a kennel, and now this light chasing, right? So that's why I always tell people, you're paying me for my time, right? Good boy, good. Because a lot of times this stuff takes work. To get a dog that's got a neurosis and neurotic behavior and his head's not balanced in the right way that I would want the dog to be balanced, you end up having a problem, right? So you're paying me for my time. And we do everything we can to get the dog, and I've already figured out where this dog's at, so we're on our way. Good boy, you're all right. You're okay. Yay, good boy, good, there you go. I'm going to bring out the balls a lot more as we go along to try to redirect the behavior and get him into the balls, get him high, and give him another place to go instead of here. When I put the negatives and I start counter conditioning it, that energy is going to still be pent up. And so I need to take it somewhere, right? And I'll take it into the balls, I'll take it into the play, I'll take it into the relationship with me and doing things that frees the dog's brain up and lets him be a dog that's a lot more functional for what I would want, what a working dog's all about. You want personal protection, you want a dog that's really going to work and have the right state of mind, come see me. All right, I'll talk to you later. Mark Ferrasci, Protect Dog Training, and Benzo.